Hey, this is Jack Beckman, driver of the Peak Chevrolet for John Force Racing. And this is my Chevrolet SS. It's a 1968 El Camino. My dad bought it from the original owner back in December of 1979. I was 13. At 15, I gave him the same $1,000 he paid the owner for and took possession of the car, and I took my driving test on my 16th birthday, June 28th, 1982, and I scored 100% on it, thank you very much. And the car looked nothing like this. So fast forward, I've got a slew of time slips. I made my first run down the quarter mile in 1986 in Lubbock, Texas, in this car. I went 15 seconds at 93 miles an hour, and then every weekend after that, after I got out of the Air Force, it was about the time slip. I did intake manifold, carburetor, headers, jetting, timing, gears, transmission, anything to make the car go quicker. And then one day, I watched somebody walking away with a trophy, and I thought, I want that. And from that point on, I did everything I could to get a trophy in this car. I stopped messing around with it until one day, I was in line getting my trophy, and somebody said, yeah, I earned 500 bucks drag racing last month. I thought, I want to race for money. The cool thing in my career is it's kind of come all the way back full circle. The time slip and the trophy mean everything now. But this car sat dormant. Once I started racing dragsters in the mid-90s, I intended to put it back on the street. I did some things to it, and then it sat for 20 years. I never thought it was going to do that. I had kids at that point in time, and I was drag racing full time. And then my buddy said, hey, you need to come pick your car up out of my storage building. So I did, and in 2018, after 3.5 years, did a complete frame-off restoration, had help from a lot of great people in the industry. And the car went in the August 2020 issue of Hot Rod Magazine. The connection there is, my grandfather bought my father the August 1950 edition of Hot Rod Magazine when they were on vacation. They lived in Maryland, they were in Florida. I still have that magazine, August of 1950. Well, fast forward 70 years to the month, August 2020, and my car was in Hot Rod Magazine. I thought that was pretty darn cool. And a lot of people have asked me while I was building it, what's your purpose? Do you want to autocross it? Do you want to drag race it? Do you want to be a street cruiser? And I said, you know, I guess I'd just like to be able to take my son or daughter to Bob's Big Boy in it. So on my birthday in 2018, I drove it down to the Burbank Bob's Big Boy, and my uncle, my friends, Tommy Ivo, all came down there for dinner, and I tracked down the original owner, and he sat in that driver's seat, and I got a picture of him doing that for the first time in 39 years. So this car is not just sentimental for the racing, for the first car. It just means a lot of things to me. When I went away in the Air Force for the first 6 months when I was in basic and tech school, it sat in my mom's garage. And I asked her to start it up once a month and just exercise the car a little bit. I didn't know she was taking it out on Van Nuys Boulevard and cruising the thing, but my mom passed away 30 years ago. But she sat right there. So there's just so many memories that come back when I turn the key on in this thing. Asking about specs on this, it's a 396 Chevrolet engine. I got aluminum heads, intake, fuel injection system, headers, the engine dynoed at 495 horsepower. Took out the turbo 400 transmission, put a 700 R4 Chevy tranny in there, so I got an overdrive and it's got a lock-up torque converter. I kept the stock seats. When I raced this car as a bracket car, it had a roll bar in it. I liked the looks of that. I made it a bolt-in, but I took out the plastic racing seats, went back to the originals, had them recovered. It's still got the factory Chevrolet console in there with the SS horseshoe shifter. Rear end's got 373 gears. Went with aftermarket Chevrolet style rally wheels, and I think the finished product came out cool, and it still makes me smile to this day. I have so many cool memories of this car, whether it was working on it on a Friday night to go up to a race the next day or cruising the thing to Bob's Big Boy. And I've got to tell you, after 40 some odd years of owning this car, getting it out of the garage today, firing it up, to drive out here to John Force Racing to film some stuff for Chevrolet is one of the coolest things I've got to do with my hot rod.